Right. It's May the 13th, 2026. And it's 1 p.m. So that must mean that I am in my paper 1 exam. And I've chosen this question: the pursuit of pleasure is never worth the price. And the first thing I've done is I've flipped my exam booklet over and I've put it landscape, because I'm going to use the back of my exam booklet for my planning, right? Because I've got 15 minutes now before I even think about starting this essay, because I know I've got 1 hour and 15 minutes for this exam. I don't have any extra time, but if I did, I'd have added that on as well. Now, okay, then what am I going to do? I'm going to remind myself right away that if I don't include relevant context, I'm not really meeting the requirements of this exam. And I've got to make these texts talk to each other, right? They've got to be always considered together. I'm not going to write about one of the texts for half the essay and then the other, right? Which means I've also got to do AO1 and AO5, right? But I'm not as worried about those. Okay, so the question's asking me whether the books that I've read suggest that that is true, right? So the first thing that I'm going to do to get me thinking about context and not like the characters in the books is to consider what pleasure like means to them in their society and how that's shown in the books. That's going to make me focus straight away on AO3. So I'm in the 19th century, I'm in Norway, and it's a realist play. So one of the things I know is that this thing about pleasure is going to be focused on kind of real life. Whereas Milton is writing in the 17th century, and it's an epic poem, right? So that's important. It's obviously based on the Bible. And as a Puritan, what was he thinking like about pleasure? And straight away, I think one of my key things is going to be focusing on women or female pleasure. But I'm 3 minutes in, so I've made a good start thinking, but I'm still nowhere near ready to start writing my essay, because I really want to try and get a grid completed before I start. So first of all, there's that word pursuit, right? That word pursuit makes me think of active choices versus passive choices. Do characters actively pursue pleasure, or is pleasure like, was it like a byproduct of something else? Okay. And I'm thinking about women. It's never worth the price. What's the price that is paid? Okay. So pleasure in these societies, well, it's male centered, isn't it? It's men are allowed to experience pleasure. How do they experience that? By serving God, by through work. Women experience pleasure. Well, we're not really bothered, are we? What pleasure means? Women should just be content in their role as wife and mother. And that makes me straight away think of the angel in the house that advised that But men should also, they kind of have, I'm thinking of this word duty as well, like being dutiful, being good, that should lead to pleasure. And that's suggested in both societies, but to different extremes. Okay. Right. Okay, what is that? That's also made me think about, I'm going to go back to this thing about price. So I'm 5 minutes in, I've looked around. Oh my God, Evie started actually writing her essay. Right, I'm feeling a bit panicked, but I'm not going to look at Evie again because I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I've written some things down. This doesn't look like an essay. It's all right. I'm reminded that my amazing and wonderful teacher said that she wouldn't be ready to write the essay after 5 minutes. Right, hold your nerve, it's okay. Right, my brain was jumping around there. I started thinking of lots of different things. I started thinking about price, which is maybe thinking about the end of the text. I can probably just have 1 point about the end of the text, actually, comparing them. Because they're so different. So what we have, obviously Nora leaves, and ironically, like, it's not like she doesn't even know if she's going to experience pleasure. She gives up money, she gives up everything. Actually, what she faces hardship, but is free. Okay. Whereas Adam and Eve, hang on, Torvald also faces a hardship. Is that because, like, is he punished for not thinking enough about Nora's pleasure, for treating her like a doll? T punished to treats N like a doll, maybe. So is it worth the price? Well, it's a realist play, isn't it? So I don't think that Ibsen's giving an answer to that. He's just saying that the option should be there, I think. Okay, right, I feel like that might become my third point. Hang on, stupid, AO4. So am I going to do anything about Adam and Eve? So they, even though they're cast out of Eden, and Milton thought that was very sad, and I know that from a bit of that AO5 that I read yesterday. Oh, I can't remember his name, but talking about how all the opportunities were there within Eden, if they'd just made the most of them. But they are free to go back to this one. They're free to then, like, willingly serve God again, to show every day that they're devoted to him, which some people call that Felix Culpa. I guess that happy accident leads to this opportunity. And for Eve, what does she get over here? Well, she gets to be a wife and mother, and she doubles down on the fact, that she'll never, like, go against Adam again. So she's forced to obey, but Milton suggests that will lead to her being pleased because that's what she should do. Okay, right. I'm happy with that, I think. I've got 1 point maybe. Pursuit of pleasure. I think I maybe... Do I want a point about Satan? Pursuit of pleasure. Pleasure. Is pleasure the same as happiness? Now again, this is me assuming I've done no revision on pleasure at all. So I'm having to think of this off the top of my head. But hopefully I have revised it and I've got a few more points. I'm thinking of sex and Satan. Okay, so because I've revised these, write down my ideas. And I think that, okay, I think I'm ready now. I've got a few minutes. Right, so let's do my little grid. Right, what's my one for? So my last one's going to be focused on the end. And I want to say something about, because of the different ways in which pleasure is associated with duty. That's it. Right, okay. I think that's my idea. Pleasure, duty. And so do you have a duty to yourself or to God and husband and therefore society? Right, so that's my topic sentence for that one. And I've already put there about, so my AO3 is the Felix Culpa. It's, I might put the banquet speech in there actually, where, because of that like, not ambiguous ending, but I think the banquet speech is going to go well there. I think if my other point is about women, and that's to do with like work and setting, so that's kind of that one there. And my AO3 then is going to be Angel in the House, the new woman. What have I got for Eve? For Eve, it's much more about that, you know, household good, isn't it? And so I've got a lot more for Doll's House than I have for Paradise Lost. Milton's Daughters. Could maybe do that. I wonder if I could add in here the Civil War and this, you know, like atoning at the end for Milton. Right, I like that. And then do I want one about pleasure, that's exploring pleasure and suffering, how Satan does enjoy it, but Krogstad doesn't, but like something to do with the settings forcing it. Pleasure and suffering. And that's, you know, Satan, like self-punishment, but Krogstad. So this is a contrast. Kay, not a villain. He's a victim as well, I'm going to argue. So I'm going to talk there about things like the Napoleonic Code and like money and bourgeois respectability. Yes. Right, 14 minutes. Okay. That's not bad, because I've still got an hour to write my essay. Well, Julie keeps saying to me, my teacher, that when she's examining these essays, which she's done for about 20 years, she can always tell when students haven't planned, because they tend to just write longer essays that repeat themselves. And that's not a good sign. It shows that they're not in control of their argument. Okay. The pursuit of pleasure is never worth the price. Yeah, okay, worth the price. Obviously, yeah, that's quite a good one. Oh, yes, it's right. So for this, I can talk about punishment and reward. Because actually, when Krogstad listens to Christine, you know, and decides to do the right thing, he's like rewarded with Christine. But Satan, just like the whole thing about turning to being punished in hell, the humiliation. And I'm going to bring C.S. Lewis into that as well, because that's what he talks about, that like warning to the reader. Okay, I think what I've got to do now is just get on with writing the essay. I think that's what I need to do. I've got to remember that I'm in an exam. It's not going to be absolutely perfect. What I haven't done here is write out in full sentences my ideas, because that takes too long. I haven't written out a load of quotations, and I'm trusting that I'll kind of remember these things as I come to that point. And 16 minutes, I'm ready to go. Right, then I'll just write the essay. Dead easy.